So I was invited to LINLEY to take part in a willow weaving workshop, which is something I'd never ever thought about doing before in my life. But being given the opportunity, I jumped at the chance because it's something different to experience. So this is Sarah at the moment just setting everything up, and I was really amazed that the sculptures that were created are literally just created with willow, and that is it. There's no other joinings, there's no kind of glue or sellotape or anything. It is just the willow itself keeping the structure together, which is really impressive. So at this point of the workshop, we just created the body of the hen, and it's something really simple. It's basically two circles that are crossed to each other, and this is actually the moment where Sarah's putting in the metal support for the legs, which basically means it can just be jabbed into the ground and it will stand there outside and look very beautiful.
So the next step is just to put them side by side, like this, and get a thin rod.
So if you hadn't guessed already, this is the point where we're making the feet for the hen. And what I find quite interesting was that there were different thicknesses of willow, and depending on what part of the body or sculpture that you're creating, depends on obviously what thickness of willow that you need. The thinner willow is a lot more flexible, which means you can twist it and tie it together, and the thinner willow is much more thicker, which basically creates a sort of support and a structure in itself. I think Sarah made this bit look very easy, but this was probably the most difficult part for me, because you had to bend the willow and then wrap it around itself. Doing that whilst keeping three toes pointing in the same direction is a lot harder than it sounds.
Background. You see that? So let me put that one there. Okay, so first of all, we've got to go which is the front and which is the back of our chicken. And actually, look in here. That's the back, that's the front. So remember, the back's got a more pointy bit because that's the tail. The front is where we've done the mesh in for the neck. So this is the fun bit. And what I'm going to say is, be careful of the ends of the steel, okay? I have got a bodkin if we need it.
You're probably noticing there's quite a lot of people that are walking in and out of the room, and it's because we're actually doing this workshop in the window of LINLEY. So there's a lot of passers-by, because this was for the Chelsea Flower Show. And people were literally watching through the windows, just kind of wondering what we were doing, and then coming into the store and just watching us. And it was really fun, and a lot of people found it really interesting. And we even had somebody that come in from the street and actually joined in the workshop with us, which is brilliant.
Then we're going to pull this up so the steel is around. So the steel goes through, and the willow goes around. So all I'm doing is, some of you will have a hole there naturally. I'm being very gentle here, and I'm just pushing through the bodkin. And you see there's a hole made, and then I just slip this up, and I just get those two ends and poke them into the body. Do that kink. You know what I'm saying about the kink? Just kink the willow.
So this was my favourite part. We'd just finished with the feet, and we're then moving on to the head and the tail of the hen. And it is something as simple as directing willow from the back to the front, and then the front to the back. And it creates so much character. It's where you can really kind of shape everything to make it look like the finished piece.
There we go.
So nearing the end of the workshop, we'd finished with the tail and the neck. We'd then moved on to the head and the beak, and this is kind of the final preparations before we display the sculptures, which was filling them out a bit and then also putting the wings on the side and giving them a bit more character. And it was brilliant because they were all so different from one another. This was really a don't knock it until you try it workshop, and if you haven't tried willow weaving before, I would recommend doing it because it was so much fun.